Video, we are live. Boom! Thundercloud, welcome to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, washing away the garbage, leaving rainbows after rains. And you know, my mum calls me, "Hey, get in here! Dinner's ready!" James. I would like to start by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we stand and sit and present tonight's poetry from the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, the band by the Gumtree people, and acknowledge the continuing connection to the land of the elders past, present and emerging, and acknowledge that sovereignty has never been ceded. On that note, I'm going to start with a favourite of mine, but sort of on my journey out of Brisbane down to Adelaide, and many times on the island of Minjerribah, previously known as Stradbroke Island, to the home of the Noonuccal clan. When I was down there in Adelaide, getting my bus painted, there was this big wall there, and it was called, painted by a Pitjanjara, Yankajara woman, Elizabeth Yani Close, and it was called Municipal Gum. And it was a picture of these, like the growth rings of a tree. And some of them are thin and some are thick. And some years, like a tree, are bounteous with a lot of water, and there are other years where there's drought. And so a municipal gum tree it's a gum tree in the city. And this was written by Kath Walker, born Kathleen Mary Jean Mary Rusker. But her tribal name, her real name, Oodgeroo, Noonuccal, Municipal Gum. Gum tree in the city street, hard bitumen around your feet. Rather you should be in the cool world of leafy forest halls and wild bird calls. Here, you seems to me like that poor cart horse, castrated, broken, a thing wronged, strapped and buckled its hell prolonged, whose hung head and listless mien express its hopelessness. Municipal Gum, it is dolorous to see you thus, set in your black grass of bitumen. Oh, fellow citizen, what have they done to us? And so from one of our most famous passed on First Nations poets, and I must say, at the moment, there are some really, really fantastically incredible First Nations poets in this country, writing, winning prizes, all kinds of stuff. And I guess the rise of literacy throughout our society in general has led to many, many more poets like yourselves here tonight. This fellow I'm going to do now, Charles Harpur, he was born in Windsor in New South Wales in 1811. His father was a schoolmaster, so he got a good education. He's often referred to as the father of Australian poetry, and he does some very kind of lyrical stuff. Not this. This is 2, and then there's a space after it, like whoever. Who would not be a poet Thus I read, in thy proud sonnet to my poetic friend, and unto this my full assent was given, there is not, cannot be, under all heaven, aught happier in itself than the which poetry. But who'd not be a poet? Here I pause, forebodingly, my poet friend, because to see all beauty with his gifted sight, to love him, like him with all the soul to be when life is morning bright, the very creature of delight beyond control, is still to be in like degree too sensible of misery and loss and slight and all the weeping shapes of dole. Who would not be a poet? I just don't get it, eh? It's in us all. We've all got poetry in us. If you like to sing a song, you've got poetry in you. And one more. I'm going to go back to... Oh, well, this was part of... this guy was... He was alive in Australia, but he's not Australian. But he did have, being a very influential English poet and writer, a lot of influence on culture of the English-speaking world. I got this book just the other day. It's called A Book of Nonsense. It's Edward Lear, Lewis Carroll and others. I'm going to read you tonight one of Lewis Carroll's from Alice in Wonderland. And that's because, well, you know, I got Seahorse Medicine Cafe here and I make soup. And this one is called Beautiful Soup. Soup, soup, beautiful soup. So that's something like that, yes. Beautiful soup, so rich and green, waiting in a hot tureen. Who for such dainties would not stoop? Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Beautiful soup, beautiful soup. Soup of the evening, beautiful, beautiful soup. Beautiful soup, who cares for fish, game or any other dish? Who would not give all else for 2 pennies worth of beautiful soup? Pennies worth only of beautiful soup. Beautiful soup. Beautiful soup. Soup of the evening. Beautiful. Beautiful soup. Wow. Yeah. I wasn't sure how I was going to deliver that one, but
you did it superbly.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah. Hot and spicy.
I will give you another cup.
All right. Well,
Legend.
when I put my hand up like this, and it'll be after teasers, I want you all to go, wow, wow, wow. Can we do it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, wow, wow.
Okay. And the second time will be after pleases.
Wow, wow, wow.
Okay.
I can do that.
Right.
So, this one is called, by Lewis Carroll, Speak Roughly to Your Little Boy. Speak roughly to your little boy and beat him when he sneezes. He only does it to annoy because he knows it teases.
Wow, wow, wow.
I speak severely to my boy. I beat him when he sneezes, for he can thoroughly enjoy the pepper when he pleases.
Wow, wow, wow.
Thank you very much. That was it.
Wow.
Yep. Speak roughly to the little boy and beat him when he sneezes.
The story of my life.
Okay. All right. Well, this is not Lewis Carroll. This is from the same book, though. And we. Oh my God! They're going to chuck him in there. What is that? All right. This is. No, what? I don't know. Oh yes. All right. Here we go. I think it's the English. Yeah, the English Struwwelpeter, or Pretty Stories and Funny Pictures. Now, I think I might just get into costume for the first one.
Wow.
Oh dear. Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
wow. Wow. Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Wow.
How does he do it?
I don't know. I don't know.
This is called Shock-Headed Peter.
Okay.
Shock-Headed Peter. There he stands with horrid hair and hands. Peter's nails are never cut. They're as grim, as black as soot. Dirty boy, I do declare. He has never combed his hair. If he did, would he be sweeter? He'd still be Shock-Headed Peter.
No.
And the very last one here, which is number 6 by the same guy, the story of Little Sucker Thumb. Now, the story of Little Sucker Thumb. One day, I got my scissors right. One day, Mama said, "Conrad dear, I must go out and leave you here. But mind now, Conrad, what I say. Don't suck your thumb while I'm away. The great tall tailor always comes to little boys that suck their thumbs. And ere they dream what he's about, he takes his great sharp scissors out and cuts their thumbs clean off, and then, you know, they never grow again." Mama had scarcely turned her back, the thumb was in, alack. The door flew open, and in he ran, the great, long, red-legged scissor man. Oh, children, see the tailor's come, and caught out Little Sucker Thumb. Snip, snap, snip, the scissors go, and Conrad cries out, "Oh, oh, oh!" Snip, snap, snip, they go so fast that both his thumbs are off at last.
Wow.
Don't stick your thumb in your mouth.
Keep reading Sigmund Freud.
Yeah.
Stop scaring Gladys, Joe.
When I was little, I broke my thumb, somebody kicked me in the arse. Too much information. Well, anyway, I'd like to take that opportunity to invite Gladys up.
Oh, come on, Gladys. Come on, wow. Have you been writing again, Gladys?
She's been doing couplets in amongst the weeding.
She's been writing.
Yeah, I did.
Wow.
Now, I hope I can pull myself together tonight too, so, yeah, I'll read Spirit of the Bush again. The last one, I thought I've got to get and write it too, but this is one of these things that happened.
Do you want the big print version, Gladys? Do you want the big print?
Beg your pardon?
Do you want the big print version of the Gumtree? Do you want the big one?
Yeah, mate, yes, I will have the big,
Here it is.
yeah, the Gumtree there.
Yeah,
I'll
there
read
it
that as well.
Yeah, it's easier to read,
Yes,
Gladys.
good. Okay, right.
Gladys, put your finger up if you want any cheers.
Wow,
Wow.
that's what I'll be doing now. Anyway, it's lovely to be back here in Australian country on Friday and see good people back in here again and have a lot of fun. But firstly, I will read Spirit of the Bush. I've got a lot down on the rocking chair, but I really got to get myself and finish up. But Spirit of the Bush. Nothing can compare to the beauty of this wide open space here in the great Australian bushland that could never be replaced. In nature's paradise, though, we seem to have it all. Our precious flora and fauna, plus the magpie's early morning call. As the evening shadows creep across and smoke from the campfire fills the air, out in this wonderful part of the world, without worry or a care. Gum trees on the hillside now are waiting as another day dawns anew, while a carpet of wildflowers and ferns all sparkle with the morning dew. But there is nothing better than being in this bushland that we love, with the moon sailing overhead and each star shining brightly from above. Here in all this wilderness, where we can truly dream, but only our famous artist Namatjira could paint this magnificent scene. Many can still remember good times out in the beaten track, carrying their swags here in this great outback. With those days now finally gone, but the ghost of bushmen from our past, their spirits will live on. Now looking at our rugged landscape, as far as the eye can see, but the spirit of the bush will always be home to me. That's wow. Oh dear, now I've got the gum tree, so I've got to be serious this time. A gum tree's lament. I'm a precious old gum tree. I've stood here for more than 100 years or so, and faced all kinds of weather with wind, rain and snow. I once felt quite at home on this land where I still dwell, but please take a moment of your time, my sad story I will tell. As you know, many trees were all around me, but sadly they are gone. Their stumps still surround me, where once they all proudly stood upon. As I stand alone in the moonlight, with my leaves all a silvery glow, and dream of the days when I was a young gum tree, all those years ago. Back then, I stood so proud and tall, and I thought like it was a treat to Tilly Hale. But the sound of chainsaws now just makes my sap run cold. You may think of me as no longer useful, and my days nearly done, but I've sheltered you many times from the blazing sun. I give refuge to the weary stock as they rest beneath me every night, and flocks of birds now nestle on my branches after their morning flight. But I beg of you, my good friend, to spare me a little thought, as you glance at my ragged old body, where many battles have been fought. Of course, I'm not what I used to be, but surely I can trust that you will not cut me down and turn me into sawdust. As my roots all start to tremble now, with weeping branches hanging low, and still I dread to think of that terrible day when I may have to go. As I wake up each morning and thankfully take another breath, I pray that you will leave me here just to die a natural death. Now looking to my future, whatever that may be, but I always will remain a precious old gum tree. James has started something now.
Yes.
Oh dear, I did. It is wow.
Gladys, thank you very much.
No worries, James.
Thank you very
I'll
much.
get my tea now.
All
That's wow.
right. It is, and like everybody brings something so different to this table, or to the lectern, or everything, to poetry. Everyone's got their own spin on it, and what I love about Gladys is the Australianness and that bush, that spirit of the bush kind of thing, and yeah, that real rhyming couplet poetry kind of stuff. Yeah, that's real mental and everything. All right, any resemblance to anyone in any particular religious texts is purely coincidental and in name. One of my jobs, out of the many that I did before I was here, I was an English as a second language teacher in TAFE in Brisbane, and I taught refugees and migrants in total, and international students in my early days for 13 years of English teaching. And I got to teach like over 120 different nationalities, and one thing I discovered about them is they're all people. They've all got a heart, and they're all, 99.9% of them just want safety, security for themselves and their children and their families, and to be successful in their lives. And I've seen some really successful things, but it's not easy, and I can vouch for that. I went and lived in China and I taught over there for 6 months. It's definitely not easy. My wife at the time came back to Australia early because it was too difficult for her. So culture shock is a real thing, and it happens everywhere. I haven't got a name for this, but it is what it is.
Yep.
Jesus was a dairy farmer. Let's begin again. Jesus was a Mexican dairy farmer who had a herd of dairy cattle. But he changed his life, emigrated, and became a real estate agent in Seattle. Joseph was a Russian general that served in the Red Army Guards, and he moved to outback Australia and now auctions at the sheep yards. Muhammad was an Afghani child who wove rugs in Pakistan. Now he has 3 sons at university and drives a taxi and lives in Tehran. Maria was a Greek seamstress who had lived through the war. She met Jesus in Seattle. He gave her love and much more. Mary met Joseph in the outback, where she lived her whole life in a shack. And he took her to St. Petersburg, Murmansk, Moscow and back. And Betty from Melbourne was a widget spinner who went to Uzbekistan, then Tajikistan, Kazakhstan, and married Muhammad from Afghanistan. Thank you very much. This goes to show that no matter what, often shit happens in life, and all it is, it's an opportunity for change. That's what it is, because compost grows great vegetables.
None of us like change. We just have to face that reality.
Can be scary. Yeah. And on that note, who have I got up next? Rob. Are you ready on Rob? I'm ready. Are you ready? Rob, yeah. Welcome back. Our long lost mother of ducks. Our mother of ducks. Lead singer, guitarist, and Rob Baker to the stage, to the corner. I have got my melodica. Ooh, you want me to play a melodica tune? Yeah.
You play accordion?
Accordingly.
No.
I don't know.
He plays on the Wine Island.
You play accordion.
Yes.
You should teach yourself.
Yes. What James says, he's got his stuff.
Yes,
Wow.
It's amazing what you can do.
Purely improvised.
You the lessons you
What key? Everything's very good. That's easy to do.
You go 2 months and back them up again. Oh, you'd be able to do it.
me, you'll have no joy. I'll fight, but not surrender, son.
Shaker, it's easy to shake a shaker.
Keep going, keep going. Click out the shears. Out on the board, the old shearer stands, just in his shears in his thin bony hands. Fixed is his gaze on the bare-bellied yoke. Boy, if he gets it, won't he make the go?
That's it.
Click on the shears, boys, click, click, click. Why is his blow and his hands move quick? The ringer looks around and is beaten by a blow, and curses the old stagger with the bare belly go. In the middle of the floor, in his cane bottom chair, sits the boss of the board with his eyes everywhere. Notes will each face as it comes to the screen. Pay and strict attention that it's making off clean. Click, go the shears, boys, click, click, click. Why is his nose and his hands move quick? The ringer looks around and is beaten by a blow, and curses the old snagger with the bare belly go. The tar boy is there, waiting in demand, with his blackened tar pot in his tarry little hand. Slides one old sheep with a gutter upon its back. Here's what he's been waiting for, its tar his check. Click, go the shears, boys, click, click, to hell at last. Click, go to Shearers, boys, click, click, click. Why is his blue and his hands do creak? The ringer looks around and is beaten by a blow. Curses the old snagger with the bend. Going no.
Oh, dear, Dick. Wow. Dick.
Yeah.
Oh, dear, Dick.
I met my love by the gasworks moon. By the old canal, I kissed my girl by the factory wall. Dirty old town, dirty old town. The clouds are moving across the moon. Get to on their beats. Springs a girl from the streets at night. Dirty old town, dirty old town. I heard her sigh from across the docks. Certain time, set the night on fire. I smell the spring on the sultry wind. Dirty old town, dirty old town. I'm gonna make me a mix of acts. Shining steel, tempered in the fire. I'll chop you down like an old dead tree. Dirty old town, dirty old town. I met my love by the gasworks below. Drinking dreams by the old canal. I kissed my girl by the factory wall. Dirty old town, dirty old town. Dirty old town, dirty old town.
Yeah, it is. Well, I expect that.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Just out of the blue.
It was well made.
Alright.
The pokes.
Well,
Good work.
wasn't talking about Kyra now, was he?
No, dirty old town.
No, definitely not.
Wow.
Definitely not.
I don't know why we can go around and gyre a bit and find a few bits of dirt here and there.
Oh, yeah, possibly.
Dirty young town.
Oh, look, this one is dedicated to you, and it's a bit actually sort of continuing on along my last one that I did last week was about the planting of poetry. And this was done for the Dirty 30 this week, and it was about growing stuff. So yeah, the Dirty 30 challenge is still on. Every day I'm getting challenged to write a bit of poetry, and a little bit more. I've actually written more than one or two a day lately, so that's good. I'm back to normal.
So
Wow.
Normal.
Wow.
I found my mind, and I found because like I really lost it. Like I had to. There was one of the ones that like the prompts was like retrace your steps to find something that you lost. So and you'll get to hear about that later. it's a special kind of forest and begins with just a seed which nurtured sprouts to leaves and then fulfills a need. It's a forest full of poets, also known as poet trees, writing and reciting about the birds and bees. Once the seed is planted, add a little bit of water to grow a poet tree from your son or daughter. At a golden sunrise plus ever-changing seasons, why wouldn't I grow a poet tree? I can't think of reasons. I will plant more poet trees, and one day I will rest in a forest full of poet trees, a poet tree forest. Welcome, poets. Yeah, thank you. That's my dedication to you. You're the beginnings of the forest.
I'll probably be taken there.
Well, look, you're already an old gum tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And on that note, I'd like to invite Ashley up, who's one of our poets. Yeah, poetry.
Well, how thrilling to be here once again. Here are my three friends. Two have survived for months in their pristine jackets, and one is free now to go out and talk about the book I've been reading. Listened on YouTube to Ernest Hemingway's Let the Sun Also Rises. So that's the horn of the bull, and I'm an aficionado about to go into the body of the beast. It's an extraordinary book. Get it down off your bookshelf, go to the library, listen to it on YouTube. It's one of the classics of the 1920s, and The Sun Also Rises is truly one of those darting peaks. All that she said, he said, I said, ping-ponging around is a blank style, but it's very hypnotic. The other thing I would recommend, more in an Australian frame, Lend-Lease and some of the Sydney authorities, they got the great playwright Daniel Keane to write a play called The Hungry Mile, about what was there in terms of union struggle and economic struggle before the Packer Casino and all these types of things now sit on the Hungry Mile. If you go to it and watch it, it's a two-hander play. It has a certain magnificence. I sat in the tea house today, and this wrote me, or I wrote this. It speaks for itself. I thought of a title, maybe I could call it Alatio. Ho ho. The colour show leafage is there for our eyes, nearly winter crystallising. Milk first, then the tea. Look for the tea bag string, then the honey. Recycled plastic exuded into the kids' playground over yonder. Chemical blues, greens, and that red knobbing the swings of the recycled industrial detritus. The kids are having fun, the fling, the swing, the O of it. Closed doors and window. Winter soon, Gyra prepares. The asphalt of the opposite Main Street car park was fluid once. Cars squat on it now, with white lines marking, white lines marking. And a prammed tot will be soon in adolescent fluoro flaring, bobbing her lips up and down on more than her boyfriend's kneecaps. And there are the full moon slivering their disportments, and not, as the case may be. Shall I be there then? Well, perhaps in a manner of saying, and a saying that manners. A man comes in, dark blue shorts, light blue shirt. The doorbell rings and he says, "Is this 120 Bradley Street?" The girls say, "Down there. This is 126. Tea, milk and honey I place in my half-filled cup. Filled now, I sip and think, will I get to read the tale of Genji in my 7th decade? Yet time, mono no aware. Think of my dad, born before the Glasshouse Mountains, the pineapple patches round his birthroom, and Kyoto temple bells ring in the hands of a Zen priest who will never be fated to meet. But then, again, perhaps not. A girl in a steel grey felt hat crosses diagonally on the street. There is a red-black sports car with hybrid in bright silver on its sides. As she carries a shiny white upright electric fan, she cannot simply perch in the chariot and be sleeked away. She has gone, like my pen, with these words, and I will always remember. Sounds good, doesn't it? The artistic mind forging meaning, the aesthetic through me writing this, that is, and through many a day I will recall the 3 propellers on her long-handled fan, in their bulb of frame protection, curling, articulating, opening to the stir of the wind of the gods. Yeah, all it's not mere electricity, is it?
True.
Silver, not sliver. Sorry about that. I'll sing a song that I did last week because I sang it 5 or 6 times during the week, and I enjoyed doing it so much. I performed it. I gave it a world premiere in the middle of the taxi rank at Uralla, just in front of the alternative route with that wonderful guitarist Lindsay.
Should have been
And
running.
he enjoyed it, so once again, humour craze history. And every time I read and think about this, I realise what a soaked sponge of Australian whitefella history it is. When I were young in Sydney town, I often said to Lanky Bill, them windmill sails go up and down like pirate sails about the hill. I'm sick of being innocent, so let us fly the skull and bones and show the world us boys was meant for blood and guns and Mary Jones. While we talked, the sun shone fair, and Mary gave us kisses 3. 3 for old Bill planted square across his lips, and 3 for me. We promised her sweet whistling birds, long ivory pipes of wine, boy niggers, ducats, and 2/3 of all the things of Bill's and mine. Them times was good, I didn't know how good they was. Great Nelson's ghost. Mary's a linen draper now, M. Jones up George Street, next the post. Bill took the shilling, don't forget, with Johnson's crowd he was, they said. The cove was long-tailed, bayonet fetched Bligh a dig beneath his bed. So Bill's up top, and I unknown, but still the terror of the sea. Chop scraps of meat mixed up with bone, and weevils for the captain's tea. Oh, when I were young in Sydney town, I often said to Lanky Bill, them windmill sails go up and down like pirate ships about the hill. It's amazing that someone who talks so much about sylphan pan-like gods in Lane Cove could write something as sharp-witted as that is. Just a couple more poems that I have loved or have loved me. A couple of pieces by John O'Brien. The Reverend Patrick Joseph Hartigan, who was a 20-year-old when Queen Victoria died. And something of that, as well as the bush, comes into his voice. He's certainly one of the most beloved of Australian writers. His book, Round the Bory Log, giving a feeling that we often have here around James Warren's little camera eye there. So, on page 11, 111, we find this isn't far from the world of Gladys Miller, as you will hear. I don't think it's yet been done here. I should dedicate this one to my mum, who is some sort of Catholic, as that's true of many Australians.
Yes.
Tanga Mangalangaloo. The bishop sat in lordly state and purple cap sublime, and galvanised the old bush church at confirmation time. And all the kids were mustered up from 50 miles around, with Sunday clothes and staring eyes and ignorance profound. Now was it fate or was it grace, whereby they yarded to an overgrown 2-story lad from Tangamangaloo, a hefty son of virgin soil, where nature has her fling, and grows the trefoil 3 feet high and mats it in the spring, where mighty hills uplift their heads to pierce the welkin's rim, and trees sprout up 100 feet before they shoot a limb. There everything is big and grand, and men are giants too, but Christian knowledge wilts, alas, at Tangamangaloo. The bishop summed the youngster up, as bishops only can. I learnt about that line from my mum. He cast a searching glance around, then fixed upon his man. But glum and dumb and undismayed, through every bout he sat. He seemed to think that he was there, but he wasn't sure of that. The bishop gave a scornful look, as bishops sometimes do, and glared right through the pagan in from Tangmalangaloo. Come on, tell me, boy, his lordship said in crushing tones severe. Come, tell me, why is Christmas Day the greatest of the year? How is it that around the world we celebrate that day and send a name upon a card to those that are far away? Why is it wandering ones return with smiles and greetings too? A squall of knowledge hit the lad from Tangmalangaloo. He gave a lurch, which set ashake the vases on the shelf. He knocked the benches all askew, upending of himself. And oh, how pleased his lordship was, and how he smiled to say, "That's good, my boy, my boy, come, tell me now, and what is Christmas Day?" The ready answer bared a fact no bishop ever knew. "Oh, it's the day before the race is out at Tangmalangaloo."
So the actress to the bishop, or the bishop to the actress?
And I'll do one more. I won't go over to see C.J. Dennis on this page. My sister Natasha's great love. Anyone who's obsessed with Alexander Dumas, C.J. Dennis and Daphne du Maurier has to have an interesting mind, as has Natasha. This is a very famous anthology put together by the great editor. There are not only writers and artists, but there used to be, and there should be, great editors. Beatrice Davis put this together, and it's a classic book. A wonderful collection of poetry and icons and images inside with it. Anyway, I'll finish with, not C.J. Dennis's Country Fellows, do that another day, but I'll finish with Said Hanrahan, which is another very famous work of the old priest who went down to Sydney town to help people. They say he was quite a marvellous fellow, John O'Brien. So, Said Hanrahan. But before that, I wrote an epitaph for it. To be bushed in the bush with bush is bush. Now we'll have Said Hanrahan. If anyone was sitting in the middle of, I don't know, Kazakhstan watching this, strange things happen in this world of miscommunication and communication. This is one of the most famous of all Australian ditties. We'll all be ruined, said Hanrahan in accents most forlorn. Outside the church ere mass began one frosty Sunday morn. The congregation stood about, coat collars to the ears, and talked of stock and crops and drought, as it had done for years. It's looking crook, said Daniel Croak. Bedad, it's crook, me lad. For never since the bank sweat broke has seasons been so bad. It's dry all right, said young O'Neill, with which astute remark he squatted down upon his knee and chewed a piece of bark. And so round the chorus run, it's keeping dry, no doubt. We'll all be ruined, said Hanrahan, before the year is out. The crops are done, you'll have your work to save 1 bag of grain from here, way out to back of Burke. They're singing out for rain. They're singing out for rain, he said. And all the tanks are dry. The congregation scratched its head and gazed around the sky. There won't be grass in any case, enough to feed an ass. There's not a blade on Casey's place as I came down to mass. If rain don't come this month, said Dan, and cleared his throat to speak, we'll all be ruined, said Hanrahan, if rain don't come this week. A heavy silence seemed to steal on all at this remark, and each man squatted on his heel and chewed a piece of bark. We want an inch of rain, we do, O'Neill observed at last, but Croak maintained we wanted 2 to put the danger past. If we don't get 3 inches, man, or 4 to break the drought, we'll all be ruined, said Hanrahan, before the year is out. In God's good time down came the rain, and all afternoon on iron roof and window pane it drummed a homely tune, and through the night it pattered still, and lightsome, gladsome elves on dripping spout and window sill kept talking to themselves. It pelted all day long, a-singing at its work, till every heart took up the song, way out to back of Burke. And every creek a banker ran, and dams filled all the top. There'll all be ruined, said Hanrahan, if this rain don't stop. I had relatives on the rooftops recently, waiting for boats to pluck them for. That's me in the poem. And stop it did in God's good time, and spring came in to fold and mantle all the hills sublime of green and pink and gold. And days went by on dancing feet with harvest hopes immense, and laughing eyes beheld the wheat nodding o'er the fence. And the smiles on every face, as happy lad and lass, through grass knee-deep on Casey's place, went riding down to mass, while round the church in clothes genteel discoursed the men of mark, and each man squatted on his heel and chewed his piece of bark. Now be bushfires, for sure, me man, there will, without a doubt. We'll all be ruined, said Hanrahan, before the year's out. I lived and taught with those people once as a learner next to a blackboard, and they're a redoubtable bunch, those Riverina folk. In the winter time,
well, it looks like we've just lost our next one, so it's just walked out, so I'm going to get dug up here in a moment. Life on a timer. Yeah, life on a timer.
What a good boy, you grow up.
Let's start again.
You grow up.
Life on a timer.
You'll hear
Seconds spent on
You've got
creation
a heart like a cabbage.
or destruction. As the seconds tick away like
He's got a brain.
rising dough.
Okay?
Making bread, mixing yeast and flour, add warm water and knead. Let rise, punch down, divide into loaves. Let loaves rise. Bake loaves until golden, cool on rack, slice, eat, 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 and repeat. Life on a timer. Sun sets, moon rises, the earth spins, horizons change. The position in the universe will never be the same.
no, do it again. Go on, do it again. Go through all the gestures like a cocktail.
Oh, okay. Okay, you took me to it. Twisted my arm. Ah, my shoulder. Life on a timer. Life on a timer. Seconds spent on creation or destruction. As the seconds tick away like rising dough, making bread, mixing yeast and flour, add warm water and knead. Let rise, punch down, divide into loaves, let loaves rise, bake loaves until golden. Cool on rack, slice, eat, 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 and repeat. Life on a timer. Sun sets, moon rises, earth spins, horizons change, and the position in the universe will never be the same. Oh well, I was going to get James up next. Are you ready to go, James?
P. Say that again.
No? Alright, we'll do that. We'll get Doug on up because I think, Doug, you ready to go?
I ain't ready.
You never will be.
Nobody's bloody trouble.
Yes, please. Yeah, I'll get the same.
You hear me say this fella.
Everyone's talking, I'm not going until they shut up.
That's a poem in itself.
Get on your bike. Okay. No, it's been a legendary night, and I remember Bob Hawke that time. He was a Prime Minister. We won the America's Cup. I don't know if I can paraphrase what he said, but if you ain't got your money's worth tonight, what would Bob Hawke have said? Not about,
You're a bloody mug.
He said,
yeah, something about they won't give you the day off. The boss, you're a bum. You know, someone's a bum. So all I'm saying is, if you haven't got your money's worth tonight, anyway, that'll do.
Yeah.
Bob Hall. Okay, no, it's a legendary night and very powerful stuff all over. And I'm going to say one quick thing. James did a poem about a thumb sucker. And all I want to say is I've got a little bit about words in this poem. But I got a word that rhymes with sucker in my poem. And that's all I want to say. I don't know if I'm a thumb sucker or what, but it don't matter. I'll just read this poem. The title of this poem, it's always subjective because I could pick a few different titles. But the title of this poem is Scepticism. Is that a word? If you're a skeptic, you suffer. Well, you don't suffer. You're carrying scepticism. And it's been very interesting because I got a message through the week that, this is a poem, I'll shut up and read it, but scepticism is healthy. I wasn't too sure about that. Anyway, I'll have a go. Good grief, you'd say. I wonder what you mean. When she told me no in the classroom long ago, my grief it was that shot me down. My heart was blown apart. I must have done survive that stuff. The pain I felt was bloody rough, though helped me to start growing. Scepticism, they say, will make you healthy. The stroll of life, it beckons stealthy. My skeptic soul is teached and preached. I find a road to travel. They say that isms make me whole. My multitudes of such. A skeptic is a dude of cool, weighing up the real from fool. My skeptic is a wondrous tool. My heart at times gets drawn to truth. This news that makes me sad and glad and touches human in me too. A budding poet I may be, I love the sound of words. A simple sound like tracker can get me in a spin. The trucky T-birds up Ottawa way are giving it a shot. Takes 18 wheels, they say, to flatten out the turd. The freedom mandate rides on the grill. I need help to grasp this message. Hang strongly to this thrill. Revolt is breathing down our necks. The good is getting stronger. Just keep your words above these turds, showing the light of hope. It hovers close, it's really there. Just gift me with your focus. Amen.
Wow. Thanks, Doug. Another very fascinating bit of poetry.
Thank you.
But I'm sceptical.
I am too a bit.
Well, James, are you ready to come on up? Yeah? James, Adam, everyone.
Adam or Adams?
Oh, like the family.
Anyway, I've been thinking of doing a Noonuccal poem for a little while. I know a few. This is funny. I remember I quite liked. It's kind of short. Lovely, lovely, lovely tree. Do you know you're going to be reduced to cardboard packaging for putting bits of chicken in? Humble, humble, humble bird. Can you guess or have you heard? The reason for your life of pain is making rich a fast food chain. Lonely, sad and sorry man, what is in the rubbish can? Cardboard boxes, chicken scraps, and yourself as well, perhaps. Anyway, try this one. This one is not mine, I can't take credit. I first came across it in a documentary called Nearly Normal Nimbin. And the guy would open it and he said, some view from the Billum, which is an area up northern Municipal, well know the actual area he's talking about, or I'm talking about. It was sometime in November, I wish I could remember. I was cruising through the bush with my machete. I got a letter from the council. I was off to clear the groundsel because they had the poison in the plane already. So off I went to where I knew groundsel nearly always grew, and there I spied a lot behind some thick limb. So I cut it to a stump, a whole heap and a clump, and that's where I found this plot of marijuana. Well, maybe it was late December, I really can't remember, but these plants were more like trees. 15 trees in all, some 5 metres tall. Just the smell had me wake at the knees. Eureka! I cried too loud and then tried to comfort this wave of paranoia, because inside this plot was quite a lot of dope for a cop to find on ya. And what if the grower should happen to come over to water his yearly stash? Would he be calm if he saw under my arm his crop, or would I be bashed? So I sat down to reflect and then to reject any notion of ripping it off. Tempting as it was at 400 and odd, dope theft is best left to cops. So upon such reflection, I made a single selection of one prime, perfect little head, and I popped it in my pocket so as I wouldn't drop it and thought, bugger grind, so I'll get stoned instead. But fate can be a funny beast, certainly not in the least where marijuana has anything to do, because right there and then appeared 2 men, a weedy and a bloody cop too. Well, they were both bugged because the hills were tight and rugged and we both carried heaps of dope on their shoulder. Is this yours? Gasped the cop as he dropped to all fours and the weedy float down in the boulder. No, I said, then nearly dropped dead when he said, empty your pockets out. I said, I'm just here clearing ground, so I got this letter from the council. I don't know what you're on about. But the cop, he didn't listen, and in my pockets he went fishing and found the head that I had picked just before. Although he looked at me severely, and this head could cost me dearly, Thank Christ I hadn't picked any more. So I said to him, "You're not going to believe this, but I found this pot just previous to you coming on this very truck. You see, I'm here clearing groundsel. I've got this letter from the council, but if you'd like, I'll gladly put it back." "Show me where," growled the cop and pried the weedy off the rock. So I pointed to the groundsel on the plot, and suddenly, to all our collective surprises, a body from the plot rises with a red bandana and maxi crop. Well, that body realises with a jolt that body let a bolt, and that body beats it like a bandit. "Stop, Parky, stop," cried the weedy and the cop, and they leave chase to catch the grower red-handed. Well, the girl's face I didn't see, but something tweaked in memory. Something very familiar. I think I've got one similar. I'm talking about this joker's red bandana. Well, suddenly, I was all alone, and I really should have gone straight home, but I had this really wicked thought. So I raced to the plot, grabbed the letter up, and nipped off before they returned, and I got caught. Well, later that night, I went home and thoroughly got illegally stoned and out on the back veranda with my girlfriend. She sadly said, "That's nice weed you're rolling. Today mine got stolen, and guess what? I lost a red bandana."
Adds a new dimension to a jolly swagman.
I'll do one very short one of my own that was written in Canada, and I think I was playing a bit of online poker, so it's a gambling reference, and kind of short quatrain with a then question at the end. After or before effect, trace to finer points effect, away from cause reflect, erase twice you cap. Let me do it again. After or before effect, trace to finer points effect, away from cause reflect, erase twice you clapped. You meanward call.
Who wrote that Nimbin story? Story. Very charming. Very charming.
Nearly Normal Nimbin.
You can buy it from the Hemp Embassy there.
Yes. Well, I was challenged on day 9 of the Dirty 30 to write about a post-apocalyptic world where I'm left alone. Whether it's a zombie apocalypse or everyone's wiped out because of tsunamis or COVID or whatever. It's called Alone. I woke one morning, and much to my surprise, the whole human race had dematerialised. I walked into an empty supermarket and ate a peach, then took an abandoned car and drove to the beach. In a cafe by the beach, I took a can of lemonade, and the beach was totally deserted except for a mermaid. They feature a lot in my poetry lately, mermaids. Who took a very tight grip of my football sack, and she said I'd give it back if I'd kiss her back. So I kissed her back, which tasted like fish. I told her she'd taste good with chips served on a dish. Then she asked if I would like to meet her dad, and that was when I asked myself, am I going mad? That's it. Yeah, I was a bit lazy. I couldn't be bothered writing anymore, so I just said and on that, have you got something for us tonight, Saul? No? Paul? Paul does. Okay, well, let's invite Paul on up. Here we go. We've got a chair for you to lean on.
Righto. You poets, ladies and gentlemen, we're all here tonight. Now, he came in tonight, he's your favourite, he came in with Tom Jones. When I walked in the hall, of the two men, one was ugly, sexless and broke, but I'm not going to say which one. Now this fella's a generous fella. He's a really generous guy. He'll always help you out. Which way'd you come in? He's a generous guy. He's got a heart like a cabbage. And he'll give you the shirt off his back. You got to give him your trousers first. He'll make you a small fortune, give him a large one. And he's so generous, this guy, that If he gets 2 head jobs, he'll give you 1. Now give him a great big hand. Now come on. Okay. Now tonight, I'm going to try a new dimension to the frivolity and madness. Besides singing a song, you know, I'm going to sing a song. You're going to have to put up with that. But what I decided tonight to talk about a little was, I mentioned to James, one of the great arias I thought in the bel canto era of opera, which he watched. He got a bit bored. I saw his eyes glaze over with boredom, but I thought it was lovely. And that great aria, it was a duet, was by a lovely, what we call a voce finta tenor, a rare light-voiced man, and Joan Sutherland was sort of like a very great mismatch, because she's such a huge woman, he's such a little guy. But they sing beautifully together in the bel canto style. The bel canto style in this particular song, Bellini song from Sambulla, was called Prende l'anel ti dono, which means take this ring I give. And it was from an opera called Sonnambula, which was set in Switzerland, and it's a crazy story of an unfaithful woman, it seemed, that was sleepwalking in another man's bedroom, as operas are, completely crazy. But I'll just make mention of that for anyone who's interested on YouTube. And tonight I brought notes. I just joined the club. I'm a note carrying.
Wow. Yay. Are they in Swedish?
Okay,
I'll mention here for the camera, there was a great set of recordings put out by Richard Bonny, and he was the sort of the Svengali behind Joan Sutherland. He made her what she is, a fantastic man, really. And they recorded a whole box set of CDs called Age of Bel Canto, and that was this great tenor that I think is fantastic, called Richard Conrad, with Marilyn Horne, the supreme mezzo of this era, and of course Joan Sutherland. On that particular box set is Prende l'anel ti dono. It's been done by lots of ensembles. It's a popular bel canto opera, which basically in the modern era Bonny revived for the benefit of Joan Sutherland. And I'll mention some other good recordings that you might watch on YouTube. In the past, the opera was actually written by Vincenzo Bellini in 1830, and the first recording was 1908, which is not very far into the future, you know, from those times of crossover. The hero is Elvino, and the heroine is Amina, and there's a great recording by Beniamino Yili, who's a very, very great light tenor. And probably the nicest recording is Ferruccio Tagliavini. If you look at that, I'll put it up here because you can always glance back. Tagliavini, and of course Two-Day Shipper. So they're the famous recordings of that great aria. And so I just bring that one tonight. So from a YouTube point of view, if you've got absolutely no life at all, well, you'd have no life at all if you're watching this show. If that's the case and you want to watch something after the show, then my recommendation is to watch Joan Sutherland and Richard Conrad sing the beautiful, sweet and delightful aria. Very short, beautifully sung between them. Prende l'anel ti dono from Bellini's Sonnambula. Okay, that's all for opera tonight, folks. Now give that fella a hand, now come on. I know that you already knew that, Gladys, but
Yeah.
anyway, we just talk on, don't we? Now, I've got to say, regarding that particular opera, it's such a beautiful duet between two people in love who betrothed to each other.
of course, he sings "Take This Ring I'll Give You," and he sings sweetly that he gives her a posy of violets. Of course, she responds with great love. And I just want to say for that our beautiful daughter, we call her our daughter, she's our granddaughter actually, Natalia Ross, she's come down. We haven't seen Natalia for a long time. She's come down here to see her girlfriend's wedding. And I've got to say that I'm delighted that Natalia and her new man, lovely man, I haven't met him yet, but he must be a nice guy, Sam, all the best, and I'll see you soon. And I just make mention too also that James has got a nice line of furniture in now, some very, very high quality cafe ware, a few very nice spindleback chairs. So if anyone's interested out there that's got an eye for good quality or something, some bargains down here at the Poetry Hall of Fame. Now, is that enough? Is that enough for the notes, James? Is that enough? Is that a sufficient note job? Would you say?
I'd say so. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll just go through it again. Prendi, Lanel Dodono, the great aria, duet. It can be. It's often sung just by the tenor as a beautiful individual aria, but the two voices are lovely. You might see Benjamino Gili, Ferruccio Tagliavini, or Tito Schubert, and compare. And when Bonning did the arrangement for the Age of Canto recordings, I think that he copied the charts and the musical arrangements from Tagliavini's recording. And also it's interesting, from a musical point of view, the tempo and the tempi. In other words, the speed at which the arrangements are done when the aria is sung, and also the change in the time inside the aria too. So there's the general tempo and the tempi. So it's very interesting to colour the beautiful sound. So again, Age of Volcano, you can watch. If you look that up, Age of Volcano by James Sutherland, Marilyn Horne, and Richard Conrad produced and conducted by Richard Bonning. All the music on that is mind-blowing, beautiful, wonderful. Okay, now the notes disappear. Now it's time for the song.
Hank Williams, yay!
Well,
Caroso, Caroso.
well, it could be a Hank song.
Hank?
It could be a Hank song, but this one is a Merle Haggard song.
Oh,
Now I said the other week that I went and saw Merle. You know, I'm not a big fan of Merle. He's a bit of a rough nut. You know, he's one of those fellas that you'd rather punch than than have a beer with. I think, I don't know, I might be wrong. And I also mentioned before that Marty Robbins died in 1959. He died in 1982. I remember that because I watched the show. It's a terrible faux pas. Everyone would know that. But he didn't die in 1959. He died in 1982. All right. Sorry, Saul. It's a bit of just a fine point. I can't sleep at night. I think I made such a big mistake. No. Terrible.
The obsessions of the New England tableland.
Gee, I'm having a rough time. I had a week off, Saul. I was breaking rocks and making number plates. All right. Yeah. Food wasn't much.
It's free, isn't it?
Yeah, and I got unlimited unwanted sex. Pretty good. All right, this one tonight is a Merle Haggard song. I'm a bit croaky tonight. Because of the change in the weather. Because we're heading into winter.
We love croaking.
Okay, I'm going to croak this one through. All right, now this one's called, I don't know what it's called actually, but
It might be called Growing Old Through. Hey, I don't know what it's called. It's got, it might be, it's a Merle Haggard song. I was going to say, if the professor was here, he'd be able to tell me, but, you know.
He's in Krakow.
Is he?
Yeah, it pops up on here, all these bloody photos from Krakow.
Maybe he's having a bit of crack off. Maybe he's hitting a crack
We
pipe.
should put him up on the site,
Yeah.
his photos.
The fellow, well, he would know. I don't know what it's called. But it goes like this, Gladys. We're caught in a trap, like prisoners in a cage, growing all through hate, not through age. The love and running love we had is down to a crawl. We hardly ever talk and we never touch at all. You go up with someone else while I'm out with someone too, and we come back to prisoner when we're through. Why don't we just stay out while we still can climb the wall? We hardly ever talk and we never touch at all. Are we afraid that we'll wind up alone? Is this the tie that keeps us hanging on? Why don't we just stay out while we still can climb the wall? We hardly ever talk and we never touch at all. We hardly ever talk and we never touch at all.
Well, we're lucky to even be climbing the wall.
Yeah.
That's wow.
Yeah. Well, we're lucky.
Well, we're nearly at the end of another show.
Another show.
What a shame.
Good.
I know. In my hand is a jar with lion's mane mushroom powder, mycelium, the whole thing, the plant, the mycelium, the whole lot. Now, lion's mane mushroom is an amazing mushroom for treating dementia, but it grows brain cells. It grows.
What was that again?
Dementia. Who are you? I think I need more.
What'd you mention?
The 55th dimension. Did I mention?
Did you say you were a
What is this again?
Are you a pension?
So yeah,
It's getting bad.
neurogenesis is the growth of new brain cells. Nootropics are plants and foods that cause neurogenesis, the growth of new brain cells.
Well, that's what you're telling us, James.
That's what we come to the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame for. Neurogenesis.
Well, writing does that. Continue writing, learning a second language in your old age helps prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, all of that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Don't be thick, it'll make you click.
Well, look, it works a lot like psilocybin from magic mushrooms, but without the psychedelic effects.
Yeah, without the danger. There is some danger.
There's no danger. It's actually the most. So psilocybin mushrooms have been shown to be the most safest drug out of a whole list of drugs ever. They're now testing it. Mind Medicine Australia is the peak group. Hello out there to Mind Medicine Australia, studying the benefits of psilocybin for treating anxiety, depression, addiction problems, all kinds of repetitive patterns of behaviour that people get stuck into and have trouble breaking out of.
It's on the health report on Tuesday last week. I listened to it.
Oh yeah.
That's exactly
It's
what I'm
been
talking about.
legalised in, I think, somewhere in America. Is it
Canada?
Portland, Oregon, or something like that. And a few other places are moving towards decriminalising it. So yeah, psilocybin it sort of mimics dimethyltryptamine, which is it's actually naturally ingestible dimethyltryptamine, which is produced in the body anyway. But anyway, that's beside the point. The reason I'm bringing that up is because I sell mushrooms here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame. I've got lion's mane, I've got cordyceps for energy, I've got at the mitochondrial level of your DNA, producing ATP and more energy. I've got reishi for immunity, chaga for immunity, and a whole bunch of stuff here too. So natural mushrooms are the way to go. Come and get some from me. And these ones here, the lion's mane, they're they're grown locally at Black Mountain, so that's another good thing too.
Wow.
What have we got coming up here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame? We've got the Easter market this Saturday, and then on Sunday we've got Graham Bishop, the piano performance at 3 o'clock on Sunday the 17th of April, that's Easter Sunday. Tickets are $20. And then 27th of May, really excited, Glenn Scuthorpe, who's an incredible First Nations musician, he's going to be coming here. You can look up Glenn Scuthorpe there on YouTube and check out some of his music. Yeah, he's fantastic. He's done the soundtrack for a number of movies, including Emu Runner and a few others as well. He appeared at the Adelaide Fringe Festival a couple of years ago. He's going to, and that's actually how I got in contact with him. I looked up the Adelaide Fringe Festival list of artists, and I went, that one, and contacted him. And he couldn't come last year because of COVID, and he's contacted me back and said I'd love to come here. So the 26th of May, it's a Thursday night, 6 p.m. here at the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame.
What's he do?
Guitarist and singer.
And is that a fortnight, basically?
No, 26th of May, it's like about 6 weeks away.
Oh, I see, on May, I see.
Yeah.
And then I get some mushrooms, so.
Yeah, you'll be alright.
Give him the dose.
29th of May.
Give him the whole jar.
Yeah, then we've got the Soul Express coming.
What
Here
do
as
they
well.
do?
The Soul Express is a cabaret show.
Oh, cabaret. Do they have tightrope?
I don't know. It's I think it's
Jugglers?
or something.
Jugglers?
Don't know. But it's put on by Arts Northwest as one of their pocket productions. So that's what's coming up here. Now, here's something for you that I've found out this week. You know those red top mushrooms with the white dots over them, the Santa Claus mushrooms, Amanita muscaria? They're actually a medicine. They're not actually, they won't actually kill you. Yeah. So there are some fungi which does kill you because it breaks down your liver and that kind of stuff. But yeah, muscimol and ibotenic acid, I've been looking into that because if I was down there by the lagoon and I found this whole patch under a big tree.
Isn't that what Alice...
That is right, yeah. That is dead right. That's right. She went down the hole. She had a mushroom. She chased a rabbit up the bunny hole.
Everything is what it seems.
Well, she was. Hey, I'm a warrant. She might be up my hole. Anyway, moving right along. Enough disgusting thoughts there. Alice, get out of there.
Signalman Freud. Ring the bell.
All right, ding ding. Yeah, we need a concept, a dollar, like a swear jar, a concept jar.
With a bell.
Yeah. Okay. This was my challenge to write about my significant others. I've only got, my significant others, who are my sons. I've got 3 of them. Clay, Luca and Sasha. They're 25, 26, 20 and 12. My significant others are far, far away in Queensland. But they send me videos of themselves at play. They're my sons. Now they're men. They're not boys. They've grown, they stick together, and I'm far from home. But they're handsome, hard-working, honest and kind, happy, successful. As their father, I'm blind. And I've given them all of my love from my heart. I wish we could be together, but we're so far apart. And I miss them every single day as I follow my dreams, and in the most fatherly way, I set an example of me being my best, rising to the challenge and overcoming every test to be the best version of myself I can be. So my sons far, far away have a fine example to see. The other challenge, that was the Dirty 30 Day 11 one day ago. The challenge, I think it was day 10 or something, was retrace your steps to something that you lost. I lost my mind! I cannot find my mind. I'll rewind to find my mind. Back, 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 back to the beginning. 1986. 16-year-old at night on a beach, bottle of rum and a joint. Clouds become faces. And laughter and giggles. That's it, it all makes sense. All the bullshit that I saw through, that's when I lost my mind. Living in a dysfunctional dystopia. Is that a utopia? Is that a double negative? Dysfunctional dystopia. But I found my mind in a place called detachment. Reset my mind, opened my third eye and opened my heart, and there it is, where it always was, while never being anywhere else but here, except for when it dreams. And that's when I go deep inside my mind, and there's much room in mind and mushrooms. I'm a fun guy. Fungi, mycelium, neural networks, neurogenesis, neurotropics, lion's mane, psilocybin, reset. Look up and down, around and around. Mind found. Level up. That's it. Yeah, I think I found it actually in all places in Nimbin. Yeah.
Oh, to find Robert Fine.
Yeah. We found it. Now I've got one more to do before I go, but I do want to put on some music with this, and it's the music I'm going to play it to is Tchaikovsky's Arabian Dance. And the music was found after I'd written the piece of poetry, including I've written the whole thing, so I'm going to go and get it and I'm going to put it on and I'm going to sing it. It's called A Billy Goat Farmer. Wow.
Billy Goat.
It's like, what happens if you've got a lot of kids and you name them one after every letter of the alphabet?
26 idiots. Let it go.
Okay, here we
Let it
go.
go.
Take it back to the beginning.
I've only got 26 kids.
Oh, have you?
That's not many.
No,
Yeah, that's
not
not
really.
many, is it? No. That's not many.
Same mother?
Yeah.
Oh, God, good work.
Yeah. That's it. That's it. Oh, here you go.
Billy Goat Farmer. I just got to wait for the cue. It's a beautiful piece of music. hillbilly goat farmer with 27 hillbilly goat kids. There's Alexis and Braden, Caden and Dave, Ed, Frank, Greg and Harry, the goat who's learned how to shave. And the billy goat farmer said to Ignatius, Jim and Kim, where is Mary and Nola, Peter and Quentin? Richard replied, they're with Sally and Tom, watching Ursula and Victor trying silly goat hats on. Warren piped up and he said, I'm here with Xavier, Yolanda and Zachary. But number one is your favourite. The hillbilly goat farmer with 27 kids in the far eastern desert in a house made of tin lids said, well, when I ran out of letters, I wasn't sure what to do. So kid 27 was named 1. 28 will be named 2. I'm a billy goat farmer in a house of tin lids, and I keep a good eye on my billy goat kids. Billy goat 29 will be named Tree, and number 30 will be named Tchaikovsky.
Gay billy goat. A gay billy goat with lots of girlfriends.
Oh, right, wow. He's got lots of kids for sure. Well, that's it for tonight from the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Yeah, if you want to hear my epic song again, it's going to be uploaded to Facebook on my own page. But yeah, like and subscribe and give it a thumbs up this video on YouTube and Facebook and all of that kind of stuff. Send it to your friends as well. You know, just click and copy, share, copy link, share, send it in a text message so your friends can see it and all of that kind of stuff. Have a great Easter. Yeah. Yeah.
Same to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
No worries. Yeah.
Good night.
He is risen.
Yes. Now I did hear that you can make your own hot cross buns. There's a recipe there for you can make your own hot cross buns for like less than $2. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you buy all the ingredients. Yeah. Anyway, that's just a by the by. Well, from the Australian Poetry Hall of Fame, thank you very much for joining us, and yeah, have a good evening.
Thank you.
Yeah.